Hello and welcome to Planet Zoo. My name is Plunko and I'm back with part 2 of my zoo tours. So, last time I left off with the Plunko's New Zoo. We had finished that one. So, I think next after that zoo was Conservation Park, I believe. And this zoo was kind of a special one. So, I never actually like finished this zoo per se because my goal was very ambitious with this one. This is kind of when I started to like set like themes and goals for my zoo, kind of like give myself some restrictions and kind of challenge myself with more direction. But the goal of this zoo is to have um, every single endangered and critically endangered animal in one place, so in one zoo. It was a very big undertaking. I did not finish it, unfortunately. But yeah, so the goal will be to have every single habitat and exhibit animal, both types, and then every single endangered and critically endangered animal. So there's a pretty long list. Um, the zoo is divided into sections. So I believe I had like South America, Asia, Oceania. I don't think I ever got to Africa. I think that's where I fortunately stopped with this zoo. Is I think this might be an African habitat right here, but yeah, I never got to that point. But let's take a look because I think there's a lot of really cool habitats in the zoo, and I had a lot of fun kind of like restricting myself to like certain animals and kind of setting like goals for myself. I think it kind of like helped kind of focus my like attention and direction into like one area. The whole theme of this zoo as well was like kind of using a lot of the conservation materials, so a lot of like kind of custom built conservation buildings with these kind of like grass and planted roofs, also using like the bark flooring to make it seem more natural. But yeah, let's take a look at, I believe this is Tasmanian devils. So we have a habitat kind of sunk into the ground for these guys, which I do very much enjoy. Looking very good. It's pretty simple, I will say, but I just love like the bark texture of the jungle biome. That's what this is. It looks very good. You get some nice kind of like more like textured terrain as opposed to just like the flat like grass look. I like little bits and pieces like bark and leaves, which is quite nice. This is a very good one though. Kind of the lovely coastal pig face, a very funny name for a plant. But it is very good because you can have it like growing like on top of the rocks. It looks like some sort of like vine plant kind of growing over the tops of those. But it's very cool, and I love also like the spiky like cabbage trees and um, yeah, I guess I'm using a whole bunch of cabbage trees just kind of like sunken down into the ground. You kind of get like smaller plants. Very interesting. Oh, look, little baby. Oh my god, it's so small. It's so tiny. It is very cute though. Enjoy that. There's like a little like white kind of stripe on his back, like a little like blotch right there. Interesting. But yes, there's Tasmanian devil. Very nice habitat. Very simple but very good looking. I love like the mixture of the spiny-headed mat rush and the coastal pig face, and then these cabbage trees, like I showed off a little bit. Very good. What's next? We have, oh, this is like a dual habitat. So there's a kind of above ground viewing area, like an elevated viewing section, and like a below ground, kind of like underwater section. But I believe this is the giant otters and tapirs. Yes, the Bard's tapirs are in here as well. There's like a nice like little shelter right here, kind of built into the like wall, which is very nice. So like the walls of the shelter are like the viewing glass for the guests. This one's pretty good. I like this one. Nice waterfall right there, plenty of swimming space for the otters, and then lots of like land room. I think I have like a little like otter cave down here. Lots of like leaf litter and using a lot of the like kind of tree ferns like sunken down into the ground, which I think look really good. Couple, what are these? Broken hippie trees? I don't know how to pronounce that. I apologize. But I have some of these kind of like dead sticks and dead trees in the ground. Stuff in this habitat. Oh, there's another forage box kind of like hidden amongst the plants using the classic custard apple trees, which look great kind of sunken into the ground as some kind of like bigger bushes. Oh, there's a I don't know what's going on over here. There's a lone transformer with no pathway leading to it. Hope that's not important. Looks like we have a solar panel right there, so we can just delete that. Here's a little butterfly habitat right here. Looking good. This way is the kind of like endangered exhibit animals. So we have the lesser Antillean iguana. Very cool looking one, I will say, with this kind of like white scales. This is axolotls. Kind of hard to see in here. Well, there's one. Guys, they're kind of like smiling. Very cute. And then some very tiny animals. We have the golden poison frog. You can see any from in here. They can sometimes like kind of sit on the glass, which is very cute. Like watching them kind of like smush their bodies up against the glass. And then over here are the Lehman's poison frog. Kind of like red and black ones. And this is kind of like a glass kind of terrarium. And back this way. Oh yeah, there's a little bat kind of like walk-through exhibit right here. I try to make it like very seamless, kind of using these like trees, and I like this lookout tower, which is very nice. Kind of reminds me of some sort of like bat box, but kind of incorporating like different structures into the habitat can make it seem more natural. And then this is just like a exhibit with none set to all the walls and flooring. This way is the, oh yeah, pygmy hippos and the okapi. Fortunately, you don't have the best stats right now, but it's another kind of like dual animal habitat. Plenty of water over in this section, and then it's fairly simple. Have some patches of kind of like plants here and there. Nothing too crazy. Little shelter kind of tucked in the back with a little viewing kind of panel with glass to look into there. Okay. This way. Oh, this is a cool one. So this is like a dual habitat. It's one kind of building like split into two different sections. One side is the pangolins and one side is the red pandas. But I used the kind of like wood and mesh pieces that I had in the last zoo that I toured, so the new zoo. And I kind of copied those and then made some sort of like larger structure to kind of fit both of these animals, because I don't know, I kind of want some sort of like indoor thing because they are very shy. So you need to use like this kind of one-way glass. So kind of meshing like an actual like building with one-way glass with a kind of like a cage roof to it. I think it turned out very good. It's almost like kind of like a bread loaf. It's a very interesting shape, I will admit. But this was kind of a fun, like interesting thing to make. And I think the habitats like inside of this turned out really nice. I love like kind of how dense and lush this like panda habitat is, with kind of like water, all these like bamboo, and what is this? These cowberry bushes, kind of like ground coverage plants. Lots of climbing stuff all throughout here. A little shelter. Oh yeah, I love using the chicken coop shelter for like smaller animals and kind of like clearing out the inside of it to kind of fit them. It's a very nice like fun shape. So yeah, if you ever want like a kind of like a smaller like prefab shelter, this chicken coop is very good. You can just kind of like remove the fencing or remove any of these parts inside. Moving on this way. I believe this should be Komodo dragons. I don't know if I see any in here. Oh, there's one. There we go. We have a Komodo dragon eating some kind of gross looking, I guess like ground meat and like worms. Very lovely. But here we have a Komodo dragon habitat, and I kind of got better at like hiding staff areas a little bit. in this. So we have like a pathway kind of leading down that's like hidden in a structure right here, and then using this structure to kind of form like some hard shelter or like some covered area, kind of built off of that. It's very cool, very nice idea. I kind of did that over here as well with the Tasmanian devils, like hiding the staff pathway down this way so it's not so visible. This is the, I think, clouded leopard, I believe. Um, no, a mer leopard. Yes, the mer leopard. This is a cool one. I have like a kind of like a drop, so part of it is like sunken down into the ground, part of the habitat, and then part of it's kind of like more ground level, and then getting up to like a higher elevation, you have to view with this kind of elevated viewing platform. I do love the shape of this and kind of like the change in the terrain. Looks very nice. Also, these kind of like climbing structures are really cool as well. Big fan of all of this. Again, I'm using the the chicken coop shelter right there for a little shelter spot, and then using these climbable natural bridges to kind of form a climbing structure for the umber leopard. More of these crowberry bushes. I think I called it cowberry bushes by accident. It is crowberry bushes. Using more of these to kind of like cover the ground. Let him jump. Goodness gracious. And then some wild hedgerow. Very nice one. And then kind of like underneath it, I don't know, I had this like, I remember when I built this, I had this like weird space kind of like underneath this like walking platform, and I wasn't really sure what to do with it. So I figured maybe do these gharials. It's like a very interesting place to kind of put a habitat, kind of like sandwiched between two like elevated platforms. But it's turned out very nice. It's a very simple habitat. Not a whole lot of like plants and trees in here, just using a lot of these scaevola bushes. But give them plenty of water. I love like all these water hyacinth, really good. The lily pads, so nice. Man, as I kind of like tour through these habitats, I'm like, these are really good, but like just comparing these to like the last, like the most latest zoos I've made, it's like a whole different thing. Like it's just kind of surprising on how much like my style has changed even from like just this. Like this is good, but I feel like my stuff like even further down along the way, like in my newer zoos, is even like better, like knocks this out of the park. So it's just kind of crazy like seeing like how much I progress, and it's like, oh yeah, this is all good, but like I've done better. So it's, I don't know, it's like a weird like sense of accomplishment, seeing yourself like progress through and learn more about building in this game. So I'm very excited to show off like my other zoos, because I think those are like even better than this. Himalayan brown bears next. I tried to do some sort of like kind of mountainous, like snowy region up here, and then kind of coming down this way, a more like flat, kind of grassy, like flower fields. Mixing a lot of different like crowberry bushes, more of those. Asters, we have these dog roses, a couple trees in here. I think it looks great. I like doing habitats with kind of like different terrains, so it's not all just kind of one biome. You have this transition of like a snowy, kind of like rocky, more mountainous area down into like a lowland, like grassy plain. I think it just looks very good. Like all of these plants just look very nice together. Looks very peaceful. Except for the bears. I mean, they look very cuddly and soft, but not very peaceful. Moving on this way. These guys, the Przewalski horses? I hope I pronounced that right. A very flat habitat. Lots of kind of room for them to run around. Like some kind of clumps of like plants and trees around here. Again, a lot of my habitats kind of have like dirt pathways kind of breaking up and dissecting the terrain, and then in the kind of like non-dirt sections just piling on like plants and rocks to kind of fill in those areas. But I tried to do some sort of like horse stable. It didn't really turn out as good as I would have liked. It's a very cool building. Like I love like the mixture of like glass and like roof panels, but I don't know. It's hard to like decorate interiors. I wasn't very good at that, so it's very simple. But nonetheless, it's a nice habitat. Over here, this is the bears. Down this way is the Bengal tigers. So I have like a river kind of coming through right there, dissecting the habitat into two sections with a really nice kind of like natural bridge going across. I tried to do like this kind of more interesting shape of a viewing area where it kind of like cuts into the habitat. I don't know if it looks really good. It's kind of sloppy, to be honest, but it's a very interesting idea to kind of have like almost like a 360 viewing area of the habitat from here. Not quite, but this is a nice one though. It's like a very good like dense kind of marshy jungle. That's what I was trying to go for. Kind of make it seem more like swampy as opposed to just like a straight jungle. This is the... Oops, let's get to a brighter time so you can see. This is the Siberian tiger in here. So we have the Bengal tiger right there and the Siberian tiger. This is a nice one. Again, kind of like a mixture of like snow and like kind of dirt, low ground. Lots of rock walls. I've never really talked much about those, but I do really enjoy doing like rock walls for habitats. You'll kind of see a lot of those for some of these sections. I think it just looks very natural and very nice. Big fan of rock walls. Definitely recommend those. Oh yeah, I should probably show off some more of the buildings too, because I did a good job making some like kind of custom e-conservation buildings. I'm incorporating like a lot of different like shops into one large structure, and I love like the ivy and kind of planted roofs on top. I think turned out really well. Oh, he's he's on top of his shelter. Hope he doesn't jump out. I think he should be okay, but it's a very interesting place to be. Nice like view of the whole park. Okay, over here are dholes, I believe. A very interesting animal. I had no idea. I've never heard of a dhole until this game, but it's kind of like a more slender and taller fox, maybe kind of like coyote-like. Very cool though. This habitat, we have some kind of open grasslands right here. I love these Aquilaria trees. Are very good. A very kind of tall, slender trunk, and then like a bushy, leafy top to it. But part of the habitat's like this kind of more like hilly section with lots of rocks, and then down this way it's more like open, low ground with these really cool trees. Again, I kind of struggle with the animals that don't like a lot of coverage. It's hard to like know how to fill in like the empty space. So I always have like a hard time, like even now, just trying to fill in like open space like this. I try to do like patches of like grass and rocks, but it just looks a lot more plain to me. I don't know. It just doesn't have the same appeal that a like heavily planted habitat has. I do like this shelter though. It's kind of like slanted and then flat roof is very nice. This way is a multi-habitat with my favorite Indian elephants. And then wild water buffaloes. And the last one I believe is these proboscis monkeys. There's a whole bunch of these in there with their very funny noses, like little Squidward noses. It's such like a crazy animal. I don't know. It's so weird. It's so weird. But this is another habitat with kind of multiple biomes like inside of it. We have like a jungle section over here with plenty of vines and a little tree fort to kind of get into. Lots of climbing platforms. Using a lot of those like kind of prefab jungle pieces to kind of fill this in. And then adding like my own custom vines like all around. Are quite amazing looking if I do say so myself. I think like vines are just like, they really tie together a jungle. Like they just kind of add that like finishing touch that makes everything so amazing. It's just so like iconic looking. You can't not have vines kind of going around in a jungle. But yeah, so we have the jungle section right here into kind of like a grassy, like open area. And then this section is more like kind of rivers and more watery for the water buffaloes. They have some swimming place. And I tried to do like more like a wetlands. So we have kind of these smaller pools of water, like kind of surrounding the river. Try to do some different like unique biomes for that. No, this is like a very big one. It's very nice. I just kind of love seeing like the different like sections and trying to like transition from like jungle into like kind of flat grassland is a little tricky. Trying to like, you know, transition these like plants into like an open area, kind of showing like the forest's edge is a very challenging thing to do. So hopefully I kind of pulled it off. I think it's quite nice. Yeah. And then I do love like kind of incorporating like the zookeepers areas and like the staff buildings into the habitats. So they can kind of like look out into the habitat and kind of get like a nice view. It's a very fun thing to do. I'm gonna look out and see the elephants like walk past. I think that is the last habitat for this. So yes, unfortunately, I didn't really get to the African section and start working on those, but I did get quite a bit done here. And the problem is I kind of set like too much of an ambitious goal for myself on this one and kind of got burnt out towards the end. So I think I kind of learned my lesson from this one and tried to set like smaller goals for my parks. I believe the next zoo that I did was an all tundra zoo. So trying to get like every single tundra animal into like one place. Similar to like the idea of the endangered animals, but focusing on just like the snowy tundra ones. So let's go to Tundra Zoo. Resume that. I think this zoo right here, I know I've kind of said this before in the past, but like this zoo is the one where I think I felt like I started to feel like really proud about my work. Like I wasn't as like uncertain about my building techniques. I feel like at this point I really started to like get very confident and very excited about my different projects. Yes, so here we go. All tundra animals in the first habitat, which is very cool. This is red crown cranes, and you immediately see this like kind of very cool like log and kind of mesh fence structure where part of it's kind of like this flat like wood walls, and then part of it is this like really cool like slanted cage. Very challenging to make, to like make all these pieces like line up. You can even see like in this section it kind of like curves down a little bit. It was a very challenging thing to like get these all angled right. Not perfect by no means. You can see some stuff is like a little out of sorts, but yeah, this was an incredible project to make. I'm very happy with how it turned out. And like looking kind of like inside of this and seeing the very shallow water and the snowy rocks and all these different plants in here just turned out like so amazing looking. Very happy about this one. Moving on this way, I kind of did some more like custom built like Arctic themed structures. We have a Christmas tree in the center. This way are wolverines, I believe. Yes, wolverines. Couple climbing structures for them. Little like animal burrow kind of built into the rock walls. I think it's a very like kind of standard Plunko habitat. Lots of like plants and trees and pathways kind of leading through the forests. Rock walls, which I love. Some kind of like glass viewing areas. It's like a very like, I feel like if I had to say like, this is like my most standard like habitat, it's probably something like this. Very good looking though. And then moving on, we have the centerpiece habitat, which is reindeer. I don't see any reindeer. I guess I didn't really like take care of the zoo very well. There are no reindeer in here, but I promise you at one point there was. A very nice looking, like kind of glacial waterfall leading into like a pool. This just looks awesome looking. All these like kind of icicles and kind of a two-tiered like waterfall. Oh no, all the snow is melting. Gonna kind of change the look of things. I will say though, building the zoo is very challenging because the snow made my screen so bright and white that it was like hurting my eyes after a while. So definitely like a warning if you're doing like a tundra map to be careful with the very bright snow. But it is like very unfortunate timing though. We can't see this in like its actual like beauty with the snow. I guess I'm gonna try to fast forward a little bit and see if we can get to some better weather. Over here is a Highland cattle habitat. I tried to like theme this after, like model it after like an Irish countryside farm, like a British farm. I don't really know. It was kind of weird, but I used these like rock, small faux rock walls to kind of show like a little farmer's like wall. Using these like rustic paddock gates. We have like a nice like rocky bridge right here. And then over here, the barn house over in that section looks very nice. I definitely spent a lot of time like making this bridge. It was very challenging trying to get this right, but I think overall I'm happy with how this habitat turned out. I loved like the rock wall. I will say though, this was a pain in the ass. This rock wall. I did not make this all by scratch. I think I copied like the rustic. Um, yeah, I kind of like took the walls from this and just copied all around. But the problem is this was like slightly shorter than the requirements for the Highland cattle. So I had a lot of them escape, and I had to like kind of adjust some sections and rebuild this wall a couple times over again to make sure the cattle wouldn't escape because they kept on like jumping over, which wasn't very good. Okay, over here we have, I think this is like Arctic wolves and red foxes in like a bigger structure with like an indoor section and then like a caged outdoor section. Yes, well, some very interesting colors of foxes right there. It's like a white and kind of grayish black here. Good, yes, like indoor section, kind of using these like mossy rocks to kind of cover the walls. And then down this way, like an outdoor section with plenty of like plants and trees and rocks all about. Using a lot of the caribou moss to kind of fill in for like ground coverage plants. Oh, we have some like a lot of stinky food in here. Oh, that's not good. Gotta clean that up. What an interesting collection of like rib cages and like watermelon. I guess like they're omnivores. It's a very interesting mix. And then this side is Arctic foxes. All in here. Oh, it's like a little bath. Lovely. Taking a little swim. A little doggy paddling. Here is more of the chicken coops and some kind of rock structures and some caribou moss. I will say one thing with this. Build the pathways first and then build the structure around it. Because I think I built the structure first and then tried to like fill in the pathway like inside of this and it was a nightmare. So I definitely recommend like doing the pathway first and then kind of adding the structures like around that and kind of fitting that shape. Because trying to fill like pathways is a nightmare in this game. I would not recommend. Over here we have gray seals doing another like underwater viewing area with like an elevated viewing structure right there. Pretty simple looking. Nothing too crazy. Oh, here's like a shipwrecked penguin habitat. We have a lot of penguins in here actually. Oh my god. They breed like crazy. But I started to play around with like different like icebergs and kind of like ice sheets with the Arctic nature scene. Looks really good. I'm hoping the snow will come back because I think it looks better when there's snow, but not really seeing any of that. It is January though. I feel like we should get some snow. Here's like a little butterfly, like walkthrough area. I love this kind of like geometric, like fractured glass look. I think it's like very fun. Big fan of that. And then these two are, I believe, timber wolves and caribou over here. And it kind of looks like one like continuous habitat. So continuing the river all throughout here, even into like the polar bear habitat a little bit. Lots of like ice sheets and oh yeah, for this one I tried to like a little snowy like cave right here, kind of like under the snow, using the snow rocks and kind of piling those up. And this is the oh the moose. I think I said caribou. Is caribou and moose? Are they the same thing? I don't know. They seem similar. But yes, this is a moose habitat. I like the shape of this. We have like a little pond kind of leading to like a little waterfall into the river. Like a lot of like the fallen branches and fallen trees all throughout here. Lots of plants like in the background using the diamond leaf willow bushes to kind of fill in the backdrop. Lots of rocks. It's a good one. And kind of the same thing. So like just continuing that same theme over into the Timberwolves. Lots of like rocks and kind of dirt pathways. Using the caribou moss to kind of cover the grounds. And this one has like a little section of like a kind of like a prairie, like open grass field. Using the buffalo grass and does that have flowers in it? Oh, it does. No, it doesn't. Where did I get the flowers from? Oh, more of the aster. That's right. So mixing the aster and buffalo grass, which is a very nice thing to do. I think kind of blending different types of grass and like plants together makes it seem more natural. And then kind of also like changing up the height of things. So not everything's like the same like height from the ground. That is a quite nice thing to do. This is the kind of trick I learned like later on, as opposed to doing everything like the same height, kind of changing it up a little bit. So I have some examples of that, like in the other zoos that I'll tour. The penguins. This is, I believe, Arctic wolves. A big waterfall in this corner, which looks amazing. I love that. I love like the different like terrains in this habitat too. So you have like this low ground and then like a kind of steep slope into like a cave up in this section. Like the whole entire wall is kind of like rocky cliff sides. Like an elevated viewing section right here to kind of look down into the habitat. There's like a little kind of hilly section over in this part. Lots of rocks to kind of cover up the walls. This way. Okay, so I remember. So this zoo, I tried to start working more with like different like heights and elevations. Because most of my zoos before were very flat. So I tried to do like more staircases and like even make like a kind of mountainous, like hilly section. This first habitat we have the doll sheep in this like very rocky kind of biome. Lots of stuff for them to climb on. A little like kind of glacial section with these like ice rocks. All of like the different terrains, kind of like the different slopes and heights of this, kind of all throughout. It's very nice. Moving on this way is the Japanese macaques. So, funnily enough, the Japanese macaques aren't considered tundra in this game. They're considered, I believe, like taiga and temperate, but come on, like the picture of them is in the snow. Like I had to make an exception for these and include them in my Tundra Zoo because they're so iconic, and I really wanted to make like the hot springs that they sit in. So you'll see I have some like very shallow water for like these kind of like misty like hot springs, and then there's some like kind of elevated shelter for them. There's some climbing stuff, a nice like little rock formation in the center, more elevated platforms. But yeah, I just try to like play around with like different kind of like hills, kind of going crazy with the terrain tools to make like a nicer shape of a habitat. But they're very cool. They're very fun animals. I feel like I had to include them because she's like an iconic snowy animal. I would just like picture them like sitting in their little like heated pools, enjoying themselves. Oh, here's some kind of like staff buildings and some guest facilities like built into this rock cliffside. And the kind of like indoor section right here with this geometric, really nice looking glass. This way is the, I believe this is the Eurasian lynx. Yes. So a very rocky habitat. Some kind of like rock steps to like get on top of their shelter right there and kind of climb into like this other section of the habitat. Like kind of very simple like Plunko habitat. Kind of lots of rocks, some clumps of like nature and plants like throughout, kind of placed along the rock sides. Oh, that was a massive jump right there. Jesus. Oh, he's like, I guess I must not have finished this zoo because I never built these structures up. This one is a very cool like viewing area using these like kind of glass like modern triangle pieces and these like Arctic wood pieces as well. Like a very interesting like kind of viewing area for the grizzly bear. And kind of more like different terrain. Yeah, definitely it's hard to play around with terrain with this habitat or this zoo. And very much see like the different like elevations kind of present in all of the enclosures. Because I think I was very tired of just doing like flat habitats. Gotta mix up a little bit. This is the Himalayan brown bear, I think. Yes, Himalayan brown bear. Very similar to the grizzly bear over here. Like a very kind of sloped mountainous habitat. But yeah, unfortunately, I'm sorry there was no snow. Kind of ruined the experience a little bit, but this is my all tundra zoo. I think actually this was the point where I kind of like said like, I think I need to do smaller zoos, but more detailed. I think when I kind of set like very ambitious, like bigger goals for myself, like this with like massive sprawling zoos, I tend to get like burnt out. So I believe like kind of setting smaller goals for myself was like a better idea. But yeah, I think like towards the end of this, I kind of like gave up on it and got a little sloppy and lazy. It still look good though. I'm not trying to like bash it. I just think it's better for me to like set smaller goals for myself that are kind of more attainable and like easier to do to kind of help myself not get so burnt out from like these long kind of larger projects. Oh, and there we go. Of course, when it ends, we get the snow. But yeah, I'm very proud of this. I think that kind of challenged myself a lot with this zoo and kind of tried to like stretch what I knew and like learn different techniques. I think it turned out very well. Very happy with this zoo. Now we see the snow coming in. The very much winter wonderland of all the habitats. So after this one, I think I went to the opposite end of like the terrain, like the biome spectrum, and I made a all desert zoo. And for that, I think I kind of pre-selected, I think like 6 animals and 4 exhibits in that zoo to kind of like restrict myself to just like a set amount of things and kind of make the scope of the project smaller. But this was desert biome, all desert animals. I think honestly, like after the zoo, like the snow zoo, I was like, I want something completely different. I want like all desert, and this one is just phenomenal. I love this zoo so much. Using a lot of like, yeah, I think I kind of, because I like set the scope smaller, I think that gave me more of an opportunity to kind of spend more time like working on the different structures and like focusing on finer details. We have like a lot of really cool like I guess like North African, maybe even like Middle Eastern style like kind of clay buildings, lots of like palm trees and planter boxes, a little like kind of food court area with some you know, guest facilities kind of tucked into this larger structure. I was better at kind of hiding like staff facilities and kind of incorporating those into the like habitats in the zoo. So over here, for example, in the meerkat habitat, using these like really cool rock walls and glass kind of viewing areas, I have like the zookeeper hut like kind of hidden in the structure connected to the habitat. I think it looks very nice. But yeah, I mean, like my eyes is drawn to like this beautiful oasis that I built in the center, um, with this very fun like kind of water, or elephant like water fountain. Very nice. But I love this so much. It's like a very big like centerpiece. There's no habitats in here. It's all just kind of like water and like palm trees and using these like creosote bushes as like kind of plant life. But it is just so beautiful looking. Seems so like peaceful and serene. The color of the water is just amazing. I'm a big fan of all of this. Moving on this way. Oh yeah, this is okay, before we look at this project, let's look at this indoor structure right here. It's like a very big like indoor building with some exhibits kind of built into this wall, but I have like a yes, a porcupine habitat, African crested porcupine. I've seen a lot of zoos do this where they have um like kind of indoor habitats for the animals. And I tried to do like a clay kind of or like a plaster, like a blue plaster wall to kind of set it as like a fake sky for all of this. Also like a glass roof to kind of get some sunlight in here, but yeah, it's like a very cool building. A very ambitious project, a very large structure, but I think it turned out very nice in the end. I love like the rock wall kind of built on to this. Lots of rocky areas, this little kind of like hidden shelter right here with glass kind of above to like look in. I have like a little pool of water over in this corner. Looking very nice. Look at them, they're lovely. So lovely. Little kind of animal burrow right there. Yeah, it's very fun to make like kind of larger indoor structures like this. And use kind of like those blue plaster as like a fake sky. I love the oceanic driftwood fences. Are very good. And then, oh, also I forgot the this like ivy kind of growing in the center for some plant life inside of the structure. Going on this way. Yes, this is probably the most ambitious thing I've ever done in this game. I tried to do like an Egyptian, like ruins, archaeological dig site, Nile River sort of habitat for the camels, because I feel like whenever I think of camels, I think of like Indiana Jones, like kind of Egyptian, like archaeological dig sites. So I felt like I needed to kind of make like a very fun themed habitat for these guys. Have some sections kind of like built into the ground as like little like dig sites with relics and pots and different kind of artifacts like buried in the soil. Over here as well, some kind of wooden staircase leading down to like a little dig site. Using this like rope and kind of like these conservation like wood pieces to kind of mark off the sites. And then over here is like an Egyptian kind of like temple built into the rock walls. A very crazy aquatic faux rock wall. This is just like so cool, so much fun. I had like such a crazy idea and I made it happen. I think it turned out very well, but it was very fun to like challenge myself and like try to make something more like unique as opposed to just like kind of generic like nature scenes. Try to do something more like out there, and I think it just turned out very fun and very good. Had these like fennec fox sculptures right there. And then over on this side, some tents for the dig sites, some like kind of relics piled up. And then this side is the like Nile River. So using lots of papyrus and coconut palms. This just kind of like bushes all kind of spread out throughout here. Oh yeah, and then the most important part is the like adventure tour, kind of going all throughout the habitat, even into the like Egyptian ruins section, kind of touring through that. Yeah, such like a crazy idea that I'm just so happy that I made it like look good, and it's a very cool one. Camels are very happy in here. Very lovely little staff room right here, kind of built onto a rhino habitat. So it's very interesting to see like the difference between the rhino habitat from one of my first zoos to this one and how the kind of the style has changed. I love like this little like mud pool section over here. Kind of like the mud incorporated into the rocks and these little like mud bath patches. I tried to like kind of hide and cover the like wooden kind of border to these to make it seem more like natural. And then we have like the drin grass fields kind of all placed throughout here. More of these like thatch roof cones, which for some reason I just can never get these to connect together. I guess I never like actually finish these, and they're always like just kind of floating. So I'm a little sloppy sometimes. Kind of like miss out on the finer details, but yeah. The last two habitats I believe are the cheetahs, which I don't know. I kind of like not so happy with this habitat because I just struggle a lot with the African exhibits. Oh, there's a pooping one right there. Lovely. I feel like anytime you want to look at animals in this game, they're always pooping. It's very silly. I do love this kind of like mud and like wood shelter right here built onto the wall. It's kind of like mud and um, like log wall for this habitat. Very nice. An elevated viewing platform to kind of look out into the African safari. Over on this side, I think is a bit better. We have the Gemsbach. Very kind of like rocky, lots of these kind of like thin, spiky trees, these like kind of spiky bushes. The shelter's kind of built into the habitat wall again. It's a very nice one. Look, the sand is very good. It's just a crazy animal. Like there's just massive like horns. It's so wild. So wild. But yeah, this I think I remember like finishing this zoo and just being so proud with it. I think like the attention to detail is very good. I love like these kind of planter boxes, kind of all throughout, breaking up the pathways. This whole like Egyptian habitat was just so just crazy to make. Such a good time with it. And then kind of like focusing more on like making kind of more detailed structures. I know it's like very plain and very flat with these kind of plaster textures, but it's really good. But the funny thing is like I remember thinking like building this like zoo that like, oh, this is my best work yet. Like nothing can top this. This is so good. This is so amazing. I'll never get any better than this. And then I started my next zoo and I was like, okay, I can do even better. And just kind of being able to like break the barriers that I set for myself and just continuously do better and better. And like each new zoo I did, I just kind of said it was the best one I've ever done. So I think we'll probably stop here for this part, for part 2. I guess we'll have a part 3, and that'll show the last 2 zoos that I've done. I'm very excited for the next one to show off. It is my haunted zoo. So it's like kind of October, Halloween themed. If you thought the kind of Egyptian themed habitat was like a very crazy and fun idea, then the Halloween zoo just is even better. So thank you so much for watching part 2. I had a lot of fun kind of touring through all of these zoos and taking a look at how my style has changed and how I've improved and like kind of became more ambitious and like tried to kind of challenge myself with more unique and kind of wild ideas, and hopefully it paid off because I think these are really cool. But yes, next episode, part 3, I think should be the final part, and that'll kind of have the haunted zoo and then my kind of most recent zoo, which is kind of more a surprise. So I hope you all enjoyed this part, and I hope to see you all for part 3. Thanks everyone for watching.